Hello, crafty friends, and welcome to my channel. Well, over the past few days, we've been creating cards filled with lots of layers, shine, and sparkle, perfect for Christmas and holiday. But today, I wanted to switch things up and bring back a clean and simple design while still keeping the hint of festive shimmer I love to add to my projects. So, in this video, we are crafting with a clean and simple layered poinsettia arrangement using some gorgeous sparkly papers to create a beautiful and elegant holiday card. I'm using the small layered poinsettia die set by Cat Scrappiness and some Christmas and holiday themed foliage again by Cat Scrappiness. Now, I have to mention here that Cat Scrappiness does have poinsettias in two different sizes. We have the smaller size as well as the larger one, but for our project today, I'll be using the smaller ones. Now, these bigger poinsettias are absolutely stunning for your Christmas decors or even as a big focal point on our card. But today we will be focusing on the smaller ones. Now, these poinsettias will help you create flowers with four different layers. And I will be playing with some fun colors and patterns to create our poinsettias today. Now the papers that I'm using today are all by Your Paper Insider. Now since the poinsettia has four different layers, I decided to mix two coordinating cardstock colors. For the smaller layers, I'm using my absolute favorite, the red brush metal cardstock. You must have seen me using this in a number of different uh, card projects. I also have some vellum and some glitter cardstock, and that bright yellow you see there is for the center of our flower. Now to complement the red metal cardstock, I am pairing it with the Sicily Color Wheel cardstock by Spellbinders. Now this one leads more towards the coral shade, but I feel it works beautifully with the red brushed metal. I went ahead and die cut all the four layers, and well, I do want to mention that the red brush metal cardstock is quite thick. You might need to run it through your die cutting machine a couple of times with extra pressure. Now, for that, what I like to do is place a scrap piece of cardstock on top of it to get a nice clean cut. Just a quick tip, this is one cardstock that I would not recommend if you're working with any intricate or delicate die designs simply because of its thickness. I absolutely love the beautiful detail these dies add to the cardstock. Not only do they cut each of those layers perfectly, but they also press in those gorgeous etched floral lines on each and every single petal. It really brings the poinsettia to life. Now, if you want, you could take it a step further and you could definitely add some ink blending to the coral layers and build up even more depth with a few coordinating shades. But for today's card, I wanted to keep it clean and simple and let the cardstock itself do the work. So I'll be layering all of these petals together using the tiniest piece of foam tape to maintain that subtle dimension without making it too bulky. Now for my center of the flower, I went with a bright canary yellow shimmer cardstock, which was again part of the Your Paper Insider box number 13. Now it has such a lovely shine and sparkle, and it's absolutely bright, which provides the perfect contrast right in the middle of our poinsettia. I cut the floral centers using coordinating die, and we will now set that aside. And before adhering the layers together, I took a moment to shape the petals. Here I'm using a bone folder. This is almost like a pencil. I will gently curl the edges of each of those petals, but if you don't have this kind of a bone folder, you could definitely use a pencil or a pen. Anything round works just fine. This simple step gives the flower a little extra lift and dimension, helping it look more natural and giving the finished piece that beautiful sculpted look. Now it's time to start assembling all of these layers to create that gorgeous dimensional poinsettia. I'm using small foam tape for this, but the centerpieces are so tiny that I actually had to trim the foam tape down even further to make them fit in the center of each of those layers. I place these tiny foam dots between each layer so that the petals stack neatly and give that soft elevated look without becoming bulky. The foam tape I'm using here is quite thin, much thinner than the regular foam tape that I would normally use to pop up an entire cardstock panel. So even though we are adding dimension to all of those layers, this card will not be very bulky and it will be fairly flat and super easy to mail out. To adhere the centerpiece on the flower, I used liquid glue because I felt that the glitter cardstock might be a little rough for all of that foam tape to adhere perfectly on it. Now, to make sure that everything stays secure and in place, I also added few more small pieces of foam behind the second layer of the petals. Now, this helps keep the flower perfectly aligned and prevents the layers from shifting once it is adhered to the card front. It's a tiny bit of extra work, but it really makes a difference in giving our flower that polished professional finish. Now, because each of those foam tape is placed only at the center of each of those layers, you want to be extra careful as you assemble the flower. Make sure all the layers stay aligned and firmly pressed together so the entire floral piece holds in shape once it's adhered to the card front. Next, it was time to cut out our leaves. For this, I reached out for this darker gold glitter cardstock. Now, this is a no shed glitter cardstock by Your Paper Insider, and it's one of my absolute favorites. Well, I'm not sure if I would call this a dark gold or a bright gold, but it's almost like a champagne gold, which is something that I absolutely love. After cutting the glitter cardstock leaves, I want to introduce a touch of color to balance out that clean and simple design on the card. So I decided to pair the glitter leaves with green leaf vellum. Now, this is a thicker vellum cardstock with a soft, leafy tint, and it adds the perfect hint of subtle color without overpowering the delicate floral arrangement. Before committing and sticking the floral arrangement to the card panel, I wanted to do a quick test layout to make sure everything fits the way I envisioned it to be. I placed all the elements loosely on the panel, just eyeballing the arrangement and checking that I had still enough open space for the sentiment. This helps avoid any surprises once everything is permanently adhered. Now, for the sentiment, I selected the Christmas Lantern add on stamp set by Cat Scrappiness. This set does come with coordinating dies that not only cut out those images but also the sentiments. But for this project, I decided to directly stamp the sentiment onto our card panel. Now, to do that, I took this entire card panel along with the floral elements still unglued there over to my stamp wheel. I positioned my grid transparency sheet on top and aligned the sentiment, which reads Season's Greeting. Now, I felt that this sentiment paired perfectly with our floral cluster. Now, once everything was aligned, I stamped my sentiment using VersaFine Onyx Black ink. It gives a crisp, deep impression, which is exactly what I wanted for this clean and simple holiday card design. Now, if you wanted, you could also use some clear embossing powder over the stamped image to get that glossy sentiment, but I decided to leave it as is since we are keeping this entire design super clean and simple, and we also have a lot of shine and sparkle on our floral arrangements as well. I carefully lifted the panel from my stamp wheel, and before committing to the floral arrangement onto the card front, I decided it would be easier to go ahead and adhere the entire panel on my card base first. For that, I'm using foam tape to pop the panel onto a top folding card base, which adds just that little extra dimension and makes the whole design feel more finished. With the panel in place, all that is left to do is arrange and adhere each of those floral elements on the lower left hand corner. I'm taking my time to position everything just right so that the poinsettia, the vellum leaves, and the glitter foliage come together to form a beautiful holiday bouquet full of shimmer, dimension, and sparkle. Since these leaves are quite delicate, I would recommend using the tiniest amount of glue, just enough to hold them in place without any excess oozing out. And be especially careful when you're working with the vellum leaves. Unlike solid cardstock, any glue you use underneath vellum can show through. So a light hand really makes all the difference here. I started by arranging and adhering all of my leaves first, building that soft layered base in the lower left hand corner of the card. Once the leaves were in place and I was happy with the arrangement, I added the star of the show, which is our layered poinsettia, right at the center of that leaf cluster. That final touch ties everything together beautifully, giving the card that elegant holiday sparkle without overwhelming our clean and simple look. But I couldn't resist adding a few extra leaves here and there as well. I kept adjusting and layering it until I was completely satisfied with the overall look of the bouquet. This step really brings the arrangement to life, giving it that perfect balance of sparkle, dimension, and holiday charm. And here's a look at our finished card. In very little time, we have created a beautiful, clean and simple holiday card with a gorgeous layered poinsettia bouquet. I love the shimmer of the paper, the delicate vellum leaves, and the bright floral centerpiece all came together to create a card that's elegant yet easy to mail out. This project really shows that even a simple design with little layering, dimension, and sparkle can make a big impact. I hope you're inspired to try your own layered floral arrangements for the holiday and have fun playing with the colors, textures, and glitters just like we did here today. Now, all the supplies that I used to create this project will be listed down in the description box below. Please note that all of these links are affiliate links, which means that if you shop using one of my links, I'll get a small commission at no cost to you guys. Thank you again for joining me today. Until next time, stay safe.